Is Nancy Guthrie inside this speeding car? A Ring camera not far from her home captured this video the night of her kidnapping. The video comes as Savannah Guthrie posts a new plea on social media, vowing that her $1 million reward will be paid in cash.
Would you ever suspect that behind the peaceful facade of the beautiful Catalina foothills area in Arizona lies a highly mysterious and currently deadlocked disappearance? Recently, the traceless disappearance of 84-year-old Nancy Guthrie right from her own home has sent shockwaves across America. How did the authorities' thrilling search for clues unfold, and what stern warning do the fatal investigative mistakes send to the justice system? Let's dive into the details of this shocking case right now. Don't forget to leave a comment sharing your thoughts, hit the like button, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next dramatic crime files. A silent clue lay right in plain sight but was overlooked as all eyes turned in a different direction. More than 60 days have passed since the fateful morning when Nancy Guthrie mysteriously vanished from her home in the Catalina foothills area of Tucson, Arizona. A series of unanswered questions still surrounds this case, and public attention seems focused solely on one element: biological testing. Sheriff Chris Nanos has confirmed that the genetic material found inside Nancy's home does not belong to anyone in her family, or anyone with a legitimate reason to be there. The strange trace inside the house quickly became the lifeline that the entire investigation clung to in hopes of uncovering the perpetrator's identity. Police hope that simply identifying the owner of this material would untangle every knot in the case. However, the hyper-focus on this evidence seems to have overshadowed another clue with a much higher potential to crack the case. The harsh reality has proven that after more than 2 months, this direction remains stagnant, yielding no name, no arrest, and not even a face behind the mask. Genetic analysis requires a complex process and a data match from a distant relative. Every passing day that this biological clue remains at a dead end is another day the case needs a new, brighter direction. While all resources were poured into the lab on the very night Nancy went missing, something else was present right at the scene. A silent imprint left on the surface of the circular driveway in front of her house, waiting to be discovered and collected. Unlike biological analysis, this trace does not require a complex machinery system or a massive data repository. To exploit it, investigators only need 3 basic elements: an appropriate light source, a well-trained forensic expert, and a completely intact, undisturbed crime scene surface. Unfortunately, among those 3 decisive elements, the last one proved to be the biggest hurdle of the entire investigative process. The surface of Nancy's driveway was paved with decomposed granite. This is a very common material in the American Southwest due to its practicality, excellent drainage capabilities, and perfect suitability for the desert landscape. The very nature of this decomposed granite created a tough puzzle for crime scene experts. The tiny rock particles will sink under the weight of a vehicle, but they cannot hold the sharp and clear outlines of the tire edges as they would when imprinted on mud or clay. Furthermore, these impressions are extremely fragile and easily erased. Just a passing breeze, an accidental footstep, or any other passing vehicle can begin the process of destroying these precious traces almost instantly. That was the exact surface where someone parked close enough to Nancy's front door to be able to take her out. The perpetrator took advantage of the darkness and isolation, but he surely couldn't have expected that the sheer weight of the vehicle would inadvertently leave an undeniable signature on the ground. To decode this signature, we need to understand the power of the tire track analysis system. The FBI possesses a massive database managed by the Criminal Justice Information Services Division. This system stores the tread design specifications of virtually every commercially produced tire in the world. This database is so detailed that it records every tread groove configuration, tread pattern, sipe arrangement, and the precise dimensional measurements that define each tire model right from the moment they leave the factory. This process requires extreme meticulousness and precision from analytical experts. When a forensic expert collects a clear trace and runs it for a match, this system can return information about the brand, model, and size of the tire that created it with exceptionally high reliability. Dear friends, if you find these criminal investigation analyses interesting and want to follow more mysterious cases, please take a second to hit the like button and subscribe to our channel to support us. The core difference that makes tire track examination more crucial and highly feasible compared to biological testing in this specific case is abundantly clear. The tire database system does not require the suspect to be in any criminal registry, does not require them to have been previously arrested, nor does it need any of their relatives to provide a DNA sample. It also does not rely on the voluntary provision of personal data. As long as the imprint on the ground is clean and clear enough, the system will tell you exactly what made it. Instead of searching for an unknown person in an unidentified vehicle, investigators would have a clear target of a specific vehicle model that traveled through that driveway on a specific night. The manufacturer's records would then provide information indicating which vehicle models those tire specs are equipped on by default. The chain of deductive reasoning would go from an imprint on the ground to the tire type, then to the vehicle's identifying characteristics, and finally outline a completely new investigative direction that didn't exist before that trace was collected. This is absolutely not an experimental theoretical science. It is a method that has been accepted by courts across America as solid legal evidence in criminal cases for decades. However, to collect traces on a challenging surface like decomposed granite, experts must use a special technique called oblique lighting. This technique requires placing a light source almost parallel to the ground to cast long shadows across even the smallest variations on the scene surface. A tire track could be completely invisible under normal overhead lighting, but will instantly become crystal clear when an oblique light beam sweeps across it from a precise angle. Thanks to this oblique lighting technique, forensic experts have previously collected clear traces from surfaces seemingly incapable of retaining any investigative value. They can find traces on hard concrete driveways or smooth wooden floors under normal conditions. Once a trace is detected, scale rulers are carefully placed along the impression before taking photographs. This is to ensure all dimensions are recorded with absolute accuracy and can be cross-referenced with the technical specifications in the database. These specialized devices are the mandatory standard toolkits for a properly organized and equipped evidence response team. Expert Morena O'Connell, who has dedicated her entire career to the FBI's evidence response team, has shared some exceptionally sharp perspectives on this case. When drone footage capturing images of Nancy's property was widely released, she stated that the first detail she noticed was the front driveway. She carefully scanned through every frame looking for a second set of tire tracks. She wanted to find any signs of disturbance on the ground that did not match the approach direction of the vehicle driven by Mr. Tom Zion. According to the investigation files, Mr. Zion brought Nancy home at around 9:48 p.m. and left at about 9:50 p.m. His vehicle has been thoroughly inspected by the authorities. The vehicle was returned after both he and Nancy's daughter passed polygraph tests. The tire tracks left by Mr. Zion's car are the known variable in this complex investigative equation. Expert O'Connell was and still is trying to find anything else that lies outside of that variable. Although what she could confirm from the aerial footage was just one set of recorded tire tracks, she is also well aware of the limitations of drone imagery. These images lack oblique lighting angles, lack professional light control, and are completely devoid of scale markers. Therefore, she by no means concluded that a second vehicle did not appear at the scene. Instead, she pointed out a core question that only professional ground-level evidence recording and collection could answer most accurately. What do you think about the importance of securing the scene in the first few hours of a highly mysterious murder case like this? It is exactly at this point that concerns over how the crime scene was managed begin to become apparent and are documented by specific records. Reports indicate that the Pima County Sheriff's Department released the scene in just about 24 hours. After that, they sealed the scene again, then proceeded to release and seal it once more. This inconsistency in securing the area where the crime occurred created a massive loophole in the scientific investigation process. An inside source from the investigative agency revealed to reporter Brian Enton that the supervising investigator assigned to oversee this case had never even had experience investigating a major crime before that very morning. Entrusting a complex and fragile scene to someone lacking practical experience led to severe mistakes. Former FBI Special Agent Jennifer Coffindaffer has bluntly pointed out 4 critical failures in the initial crime scene management. She emphasized in the media that in a kidnapping case, local authorities must call the FBI immediately. That call should be the top priority, not an action taken days later after a less experienced team has already trampled and mishandled the scene. Ms. Coffindaffer uttered a deeply agonizing statement that one can never get those first 48 hours back. This golden window of time is exactly when physical evidence is most intact, unaffected by weather or humans. Former Pima County Sheriff Clarence Carmona, the direct predecessor of the person currently leading the investigation, has also expressed deep disappointment. Upon reviewing the documented records of the scene management, the only word he used to describe the situation was atrocious. He sharply spotted a video clip showing a private civilian vehicle with no investigative duties whatsoever blatantly driving across the front lawn. This incident occurred while the scene was still classified as an active, strictly protected area. Mr. Carmona explained that it is exactly such loosely controlled contacts that directly destroy impression evidence before any expert has the chance to document and collect them. If you want us to continue digging into the dark corners of criminal investigations, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any important information. Place Mr. Carmona's assessments right alongside what expert O'Connell had previously determined about the circular driveway in front of the house. This driveway is the most logical and convenient parking spot for the suspect's vehicle. It is the area where every action from approaching to stopping to leaving would press the rubber blocks of the tires down into the decomposed granite surface. Even if that car was only parked there for a few short minutes, just long enough for the suspect to carry an elderly woman unable to walk on her own out of the house, the ground surface undoubtedly absorbed every contact and left a trace. Could these fatal mistakes in securing the crime scene be the primary reason why the killer still roams free to this day? The decisive question revolving around this entire chain of forensic evidence is whether a competent forensic expert with specialized equipment arrived in time before anything else disturbed the scene. The FBI's database is always operational. The technique of using oblique lighting is an existing method and has been clearly documented. The logical chain linking a tire track to a vehicle type and a fresh investigative direction is entirely real and firmly established. All this method requires is a single imprint on the ground. If investigators were lucky enough to photograph and collect it properly before the surface was torn up, that invaluable evidence might still be sitting somewhere in the case file. It could be silently aiding the investigation in ways the public doesn't yet know. But if that window of opportunity closed before a team of real experts arrived, then the most actionable and valuable piece of forensic evidence this scene had to offer is gone forever. The vehicle that rolled through that driveway and carried Nancy away from everything she ever knew is still hiding out there, unidentified, unmatched, and completely anonymous. The stillness of the desert night seems to have become an accomplice, masking every sound and action of the kidnapper. And in that terrifying silence, the traces left at the scene became the victim's only voice, a voice screaming for help. Is there any other chance left to uncover the truth when the most glaring traces have been wiped out forever by the desert wind and human carelessness? Nancy Guthrie's case leaves a costly lesson for the community about the vital importance of securing a crime scene in the first few hours, because the most seemingly invisible traces can actually be the key to unlocking the entire truth. Every citizen needs to be fully aware of preserving a scene, not trespassing or disturbing suspicious areas, while also increasing oversight to demand that authorities strictly adhere to professional investigative standards right from the start. Nancy's disappearance into the dark desert night remains a haunting obsession, reminding us that justice sometimes slips away solely due to split-second human errors. The question about the silhouette of the perpetrator and the mysterious vehicle remains open, waiting for a miracle from the final puzzle pieces. If you found this video helpful and want to continue accompanying us on the journey to find the truth behind the dark corners of crime, please take a second to hit the like button, share, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of the latest developments.